Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Friday.
Woohoo!
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dark Roast. I'm Donna Stroll, and I'm here with the always lovely and talented Rose Short.
What's up?
And today's topic is AI and basically how to use it for your online marketing without sounding like AI. you know?
Yes, there for a while, every post was obviously ChatGPT, and anybody who'd spot it was like, "Oh my god, I'm unfollowing all of you. This is horrid."
Yeah. And I mean, it's a tool and it's a very useful tool for online marketing, but the goal is to not be a robot, not to sound specifically like AI. I know it's difficult sometimes, like my writer friends are all getting really annoyed because they're saying if you use an EM dash, now it's, that means it's AI, which is not true. There are phrases that it picks up because it's learning. And so it will use those. I see chef's kiss all the time now, and I think, oh, that's AI, because, it never used to be something that was said all the time. But it's a tool, and it's important that we learn how to use it to better our business instead of, just pumping up garbage.
Yes, 100%. Sorry about the interruption. Ah,
All right. So, why would we use tools like ChatGPT or Claude for our affiliate content?
well, the obvious reason, right? It saves time. I mean, it can write a whole paragraph a lot faster than I can, for sure. It can get drafts and outlines done in minutes or seconds. It can do keyword research a lot quicker than we can. Even content creation ideas. You could say like, "Hey, you're an expert in this. Can you give me 50, excuse me, carousel ideas with titles and descriptions?" And it can bust them out pretty quickly based off of what it's searching on the internet, which means it also boosts your creativity.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it allows you to have all those different tools. It can give you suggestions on images to choose. It can give you suggestions on headlines. You can even ask it to be a professional a certain way, give you X number of headlines that it would choose, and then tell it to pick the best one that it thinks is the best and give you reasons why so that you can see its reasoning and see if that works with you, which is super helpful. Um, it can tell you where to post. It can do different post styles for different platforms if you want to do cross platforming, that sort of thing. And it can put together a content calendar for you where you just have to, it gives you all the ideas, the days to post, the structure on how to do it. And then all you've got to do is come up with the content, but it's already giving you the idea, the layout, the place to post it, when to post it. So you have almost everything done. All you got to do is come up with a little bit of information, which is not that bad.
Yeah, and if you put in the time and effort to train it and have your profile within like ChatGPT per se, it's really easy to get it to sound like you, right? And then you can also really easily repurpose like a blog into a YouTube transcript or a YouTube transcript into a blog, and then into a shorter Facebook post, then into a longer Facebook post. Like it just makes repurposing content really easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like say you've gone and written a really great blog or you've put together a really great YouTube. You can feed it into your AI and say, I would like to turn this into, you know, all these different things, Facebook post, long and short, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And it will do that for you. It'll tell you exactly what to do. It can give you scripts that you can change, obviously change, but it gives you the outlines for you to work with. Um, Marketers that use generative AI report a 33% increase in content production because they're not spending as much time. It's creating efficiency for them. So, and that's huge, right? Because we all know a lot of us are one man bands, right? So
Mhm.
it's kind of important that we can cut time wherever we need, right? So,
Yeah. Well, and especially if you get really good with like AI video creation, And of course, always be honest about the fact that you're using AI. Those two things can become really beneficial because then you can make, instead of batch creating 20 reels in Canva where you're going and editing the backgrounds and whatnot, you can batch create 20 AI videos with your avatar or just with stock footage or whatever. And it just again gives you that much more time back.
Yeah.
But the whole point of this is how do you remain human, right? So ChatGPT specifically, be careful copy and pasting it into your blog because it has been putting in random characters and random things that like you won't necessarily see, but anything that is searching for is it AI will. And a lot of blog platforms, especially the ones that pay, if it's AI, they're not going to allow you to get paid because they want to make sure that they're paying people for original ideas, right?
Yeah.
And they can't prove that ChatGPT is an original idea. So keep that in mind. Like AI can absolutely nail the clarity, but often it misses the character.
Yeah. I mean, people buy from people, right? If something's like a robot, like you said earlier, is if people see and can nail that it is, AI generated, a lot of times they'll just skip over it. And that goes with your responses too. People will get offended if you're doing responses and it's very clearly AI generated, then they're going to be like, you couldn't even bother to respond. Like you're just taking up bandwidth. Thank you so much for the engagement. But at the same time, you're not really helping me.
Yeah.
So, you know, um,
And your
the more,
audience isn't stupid. Like
no,
they know.
yeah, if it's generic, then, they're going to see that it has no real connection. For a long time there, people were just basically regurgitating whatever you posted, summarizing and then popping it back. And it's like, that's super obvious, right?
It drove me
There are
nuts.
ways, and like you say, you can program your AI to have your voice, and there are different tools and different people out there who are truly masters at AI who can show you how to use the right prompts to get the information that you want and in a way that's going to sound authentic and is going to be authentic. And always check it before you put it out there, anyways, right? Because it's not going to be 100% you. It's going to say things that you wouldn't say. And check your stats. If you're going to use stats, check your stats. Perplexity is great for stats because it really does scrub everything. It's not as personalized as GPT is, or Claude is another one, but it's excellent for stats. So, every tool has its purpose. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I love Ideogram for my YouTube thumbnails because it's it's AI photos. And I just do the basic free plan, and so I've only get so many generations, but it's been great for like my cycling podcast stuff, like just making random fun cycling um, thumbnails for that
right.
with Canva. Like it's great. But it should start with you, right? You shouldn't be starting with the AI. It should start with you. What are you trying to say? So your key message or your affiliate angle needs to be fed to ChatGPT or whatever you're using in your own words.
Yeah, because it can't provide you with good feedback or good information if it's starting. I mean, if you're telling a machine to talk to a machine, now you can ask it for ideas. You can say, this is what I do, this is what it's about. What are some topics or ideas that I can expand upon? Oh, I really like this one. I'm really curious about this, or I think my people are most interested in this. Can you give me some more information about that? And then, build it up from there. But yeah, you got to give it something to work with. Otherwise, you're just going to, garbage in, garbage out kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
and this kind of goes back to what we talked about last week or the week before, where you got to remain authentic, and if you're not a happy, bubbly person, then your blog or your post or whatever shouldn't come across as happy, bubbly, right? Like you don't want to draw in an audience not based on your profile, your personality. And
Yeah.
it's the same with AI, right? The AI needs to know, like, how do you talk? Are you casual? Are you snarky? Are you kind of a dick? Are you blunt? Are you, like all these things so that it actually sounds like you.
Yeah, I've trained mine to be sarcastic, so
Same.
we
And
are who we
slightly
are,
morbid.
man. you know, think about when you're talking to a friend and how you would explain something. And then when you are using your AI, make sure that it's matching that. Like if you read it, does it sound like something you would say if you were talking to somebody that you know? Or does it sound a little stilted or a little, a little overbearing or a little too formal or God only knows why, right? If it's too casual, again, maybe you don't speak that way. So don't, tell it to smarten up, you know?
Yeah.
And like we mentioned, it obviously it can turn it in anything that you put together can turn it into multiple formats. I use it a lot of times well, pretty much all the time to create bullet points for us for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're going to talk, but it's excellent to provide bullet points to help keep us on track because we found that when we're not on track, we talk for like an hour. So,
Yeah.
uh, the point is that it's there to give you the outline. It's there to give you the structure of the house, but it's still up to you to decorate and build. Like it
Mm-hmm.
can only provide you the frame. It can do more than that, but it's going to be noticeable, right? It's a prefab home versus, a hand built home. So,
Yeah. Yep. So areas where AI really shines, especially when we talk about online marketing, right?
yeah,
Idea generation. Again, if you sit down to do your content creation and you're like, I need to make carousels and I have no idea what to do, you know, put it in there like, hey, and I always tell it like you're an expert in whatever field it needs to be because ChatGPT also needs to know who it is, right?
yeah,
To properly. So I'll be like, hey, you're an expert in ice baths, right? Give me 15 carousel ideas with titles and explanations of why or how ice baths are anti-inflammatory to really like break it down and niche it down. And
yeah,
that's a great way to do that. Because again, like you're still going to change the verbiage a little bit, but at least it's like you said, it's doing the research, it's pulling the stats. If it gives stats, obviously double check the stats. But it is a really great way to trigger that creativity.
yeah. And I find that also if you've trained it to know who your audience is, that's also helpful. If you haven't yet, just put in there. I'm trying to reach, you're an expert in this. This is what I want topics. My audience is this, or this is the pain point that I'm trying to reach. And then they can go and do even better for you on that process because it's going to tailor its content in a way that makes sense for your audience.
Yeah. Yeah, AI really can't read your mind. So you
No.
really have to and it's the same with yeah, even AI image creation, right? Like you've really got to get detailed in your explanation to
Yep.
get it to make what you want.
Yeah.
But headline testing or A/B testing is another great way to use AI because you can say, hey, write this title in these 5 tones, or write this title to reach this audience. Rewrite this in different ways. YouTube now is using it, like, well, not YouTube specifically, but vidIQ. When you put your title of your video in vidIQ, it'll give you 3 or 4 different ideas that have better SEO. And then depending on if you're on the paid version or not, you could have AI redo your description or like watch the video and do the description for you. Like there's a lot. Now, I don't really do that, but I do look at the headline to
Yeah.
see if like, okay, this headline actually, I really like the sound of it. So that can become really handy when it comes to split testing and making sure that your SEO is good.
Yeah, and then like you say, SEO, split testing, those are two different things that it can do for you. Email writing as well. It can take whatever your post is about. If you're building a list, whether you've got a blog or a YouTube, or maybe you have a long form post, or maybe you want to turn a post into an email. Something that you can reach out to people and create something with a little bit more depth. And remember, your emails don't need to be 8 pages long, right? It can be as short as a longer post. It can be 300 words as long as it's saying what you need to say. but it'll help you turn it into a sequence. Like say you've got a good blog post, it's 2000, 2000 words plus. It can break that down into an email sequence for you, so that you're reaching yet another crowd. Um, it's your words, it's just breaking it up into a way that's going to keep people clicking and opening for the next section.
Yeah. And you don't have to choose one version and stick with that one version forever, right? Especially because a lot of it now is kind of paywalled, but you can get access to a lot of free stuff that can really help. And so, just because you use ChatGPT doesn't mean you also can't use Claude, or just because you use Ideogram doesn't mean you also can't use another image creator, right? The more tools you have available and the more that are learning you, it just becomes easier to create lots more content because you tap out at I think 10 image creations with Ideogram if you're on the free version. And so, if you get 10 really good images, but you still need to do more, and there's another platform that does, maybe 15 free ones a day or whatever, you can jump back and forth between those.
Yep. It's the same with text, like Perplexity has its own limit, ChatGPT has its limit, Claude has its limit. They all have their limits. But like you get really good stuff until they reach their limit, right? With ChatGPT, yeah, you can go forever on the free, but you only get so much at their higher value version. But so just be mindful of what you're using it for, right?
Yeah.
And then that way you can break it up and do what you need to do. Maybe you need stats, so you go to Perplexity for that. You need some basic, some blog posts or content ideas, go to ChatGPT. You need blog posts that are more human written, you might go to Claude, right? It just really depends on what you need. So
Yeah. And it's really beneficial when your core message is the same, right? Because we say it all the time, like you have to be repetitive to get people to remember you. But maybe for the sake of SEO, you don't want your description to be the same on everything, single thing, right? So you can put in like, hey, this is a really good description that I like. Can you give it to me in 10 different versions, some shorter, some longer, whatever, but keep the core message the same.
mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you put that into your clipboard on your phone. Now you've got 10 different captions for 10 to 20 different reels because you can recycle the captions and put different hashtags with your same core message. And yes, you're repeating yourself, but again, if it's worth repeating, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, like they say, uh, you don't reach everybody, right? So just
Yeah.
because you're repeating yourself doesn't mean everybody is seeing the same thing all the time. You'll have your core group who sees it every single time, but you're going to be reaching new people, different people also every
Yeah.
single time, right? So, and when it comes to split testing, it allows you to test things like a short versus long, the direct versus storytelling, and without you having to put in all that extra work, right?
Yeah.
Can even it can even give you like your call to actions on how different ways to produce call to actions, because we do get sort of stuck in the, click here for more or buy this or check captions, and maybe those call to actions aren't working for you, so it's an opportunity for you to find some other ones that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, and then give them a test as well,
Yeah.
right? So
It's good for a hook creation too, right? If you don't really understand negative hooks, it can really, really benefit you
yeah,
because negative hooks are big right now, but a lot of people take negative hooks to mean clickbait hooks, and it's
yeah,
not the same thing. So it can be great for creating those hooks.
yeah. And you learn a lot when you get into online marketing, usually, especially if you're taking courses. But if you haven't taken a course and you're just doing it by YouTube or whatever, and you're plugging along, take that information that you're learning, either way, and plug it into an AI and say, explain this to me. Well, what are the five different types of hooks, or what are the five different types of messaging, or what are the different this, that, or the next thing? If there's somebody that you really like, or that you've seen some of their information, but you haven't really delved into it, you can ask them specifically, this person, what does this person teach, what is their core message, and have it break it down for you so that you can see whether or not maybe that coach doesn't actually resonate with you, but you really like their ads. But
Yeah.
you get into more information, so that it's a way for you to do some research as well. Um, just especially in regards to your business.
Yeah. The next one I think is where I get frustrated a lot with people, where AI is your intern, it's not your boss. Right? And so many people are like, well, asked ChatGPT and ChatGPT said this, and so this is no. Don't let it make your decisions, right? You can ask it for its opinions, options, insights, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you should not be letting ChatGPT run your business in
No.
that sense, right? Like it is a tool, it is not the overlord.
Yeah.
So, you can converse with ChatGPT all day long. That's great if that's what works for you. But at the end of the day, your gut, your experience should be choosing what is right and what is best for you.
Yep, there's been plenty of times where I've asked it for a multiple list and which one do you think is the best? And it'll give me one. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really like that. That doesn't resonate with me. And it's like, got it, moving on, right? And so
Yeah.
I'll say like, do you need more, or is there a combination that you're more interested in? Which one did you prefer? And then you can give that. And so it's learning at that point as well. I know that it can be scary that your machine is learning, but it's only learning within the context of what you're feeding it. And again, like you say, you can choose to ignore everything that it says. It's there as a tool to help you. It's a hammer. It's a what are they called? The leather alls, basically. It's got everything in it,
Leatherman.
but it's only, you only use what you need. So
Yeah. Yeah. And if you find yourself like not being able to make a decision without asking ChatGPT, that's probably a separate problem, but that is a problem. So, because I do know people like that. I know people who it's like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, oh, hold on, let me ask ChatGPT real fast. It's like, really? Okay.
well, So there are a lot of different tools, like we mentioned. There's ChatGPT, which is great for ideation, writing, editing. Um, Jasper AI, which is better for marketing, copy, and workflows. Great for teams. Grammarly, uh, which is really good for polishing tone and clarity. Can read, if you're a writer, it's great for helping you catch repetitions, or where, if you're using too many adjectives, that sort of stuff. Notion AI for brainstorming and planning. Um, Great for creating calendars and spreadsheets and things like that. There's Copy AI, which is obviously ad copy and product descriptions, which is great. So if you say you have a Shopify or an Etsy store or something like that, where that's where you're getting your affiliates, or maybe you're an Amazon affiliate, this is a great way to get that ad copy and product descriptions, because product descriptions matter. Now, ChatGPT and other ones can do it for you, but is this one specifically meant for that? Descript, I really want to use this one. It's good for editing podcasts and video transcripts. It also allows for changing your eye contact, which I love, because I have a tendency not to look directly at the camera. Um,
Same.
you know, and so it's really nice. And now I know that CapCut can also do that if you're a single. It can't do it if you're a double. It'll just pick one of you. And it usually picks Rose. But that's because I wear glasses, so
I
it's
was
a
gonna
little
say,
bit
yeah,
different.
probably because of your glasses.
Yeah, and then obviously Canva, right?
Yeah.
Canva Magic Write, quick social blurbs and ideas. I'm not huge on Canva's AI, but it does have it. It also has some video AI, some image AI. So it is there. It is paid for, but I mean, I think it's $15 a month, for Canva, but it does a lot. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to spend a lot on graphics programs or a bunch of different ones, Canva is an excellent one to sort of have it as all in one piece.
Yeah, I love Canva. I use it all the time. Um, so you shouldn't add AI into some stuff, right? Those like personal anecdotes. AI is not going to understand that. Leave it out. Um, Cultural nuance and humor is getting better, but I wouldn't say it's there yet. Specific stories about how a product has helped you or your audience, right? Like if you're going to tell an actual story about a real experience that happened with you, kind of goes back to the personal anecdotes. ChatGPT is not necessarily going to understand that, and it might just try to change it for based on the tone or what you've given it. You should just tell the story as is.
Yeah.
Um, and then your values, right? Like if you choose a product that aligns with your values, like let's say that you're vegan, and every product you choose has to be clean, not animal tested, all that kind of stuff. Um, that's gonna be super important. And ChatGPT might not understand that that's the important part of it. So when it comes to setting up, like I use this product because it aligns with my value of veganism and no animal cruelty and all this other stuff. ChatGPT might have a hard, or any of them might have a hard time understanding that why that's important, and
Yeah,
therefore will come across as
or
problematic.
they'll pull the information and they'll put it out there, but it won't have the same passion or fire or desire or drive that you have. It won't have that same connection. So it's not going to provide that same tonality that you're going to have, um, because it's really important to you. For ChatGPT, it can say, "Oh yeah, this is super important to me," but you can say, you know, "This changed my life for this reason," right?
Yeah, yeah,
And of course, your voice. ChatGPT will do its best to try to emulate you, but it can't be you. So, your voice matters. Use it. So, there are a few things you want to do before you hit publish on any AI produced or assisted thing that you do. Does it sound like you? Right? You. That's a top one, obviously. Did you add a story or an example or an opinion? Because it can do the bullet points for you, it can do the outline for you, but again, you got to put you in there. Did it feel helpful or just salesy? Again, because chat gpt or all the ais, they're not people, right? As helpful and wonderful as they are, be nice to your ai, just in case.
say
you
please
know
and thank you.
yes. uh, sometimes it's just not going to be helpful. It's going to go for the sale because it knows you're a salesperson.
Yeah.
Did you check the tone on mobile versus desktop? Um, because things don't always look, well, they don't always look the same. And so while on your desktop it might, look good and be the right amount of words, on your mobile it might be too much and just, it's all sort of jammed together and it doesn't look as good. And that matters, right? You breaking up your words, breaking up your sentences, your paragraphs or whatever into smaller bites. That's really important. And ChatGPT doesn't necessarily know that. Sometimes it will go a little bit, it'll get a little bit verbose when you don't want it to be. So, and did you test at least two versions of something? And I know that one and done is pretty common, right? We just want to get it out there. But test it, because you don't know, right? So,
Yep, yep. So that is about it, guys. There's some really good books on AI and whatnot at Amazon as well. I know one author in particular, Dr. Mike Seriously, has some really good AI content, especially for real estate or loan officers. Just throwing that out there. Um, and there's some great books that you can find. So, AI, like, there's nothing to be scared of. Yes, it can be scary. I mean, some of the AI videos I've seen coming out, I'm just like, oh my God, why would you go there? But, um,
yeah. I
and
mean,
there's
it
a
needs to be controlled for sure.
yeah. So don't use it, unethically or irresponsibly, but don't be afraid to use it to get you some time back in your day, right? Like we all, most of us don't start a business or anything like that for the money. We start it for the freedom, the time freedom, the freedom to not have to beg for time off and all that kind of stuff. So AI is just another tool to give you back more time to go to your kid's football game or go walk your dogs or go, do that cruise, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So it's super beneficial when used responsibly.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much it for this week on that. I think if you have any questions about AI or if you're looking for somebody to help you with AI, just hit us up because we both know people who that's all they do. And, whether it's image generation or prompt generation or whatever, just hit us up. I'd be happy to direct you to the right person. I don't make money off of that. I'm just, if you want to actually utilize it better, then that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So next week, we are going to be talking about affiliate marketing in emerging markets. So opportunities and challenges that show up in untapped markets or untapped regions. Because we always say, oh, it's oversaturated, but it's only oversaturated depending on what you're jumping into, right? Some pools are busier than others.
Yep.
So I think that's it, and that's all, folks.
If you found this helpful, please drop a comment, share, and hit that subscribe button. Your feedback is super helpful in growing this channel.
And of course, if you have any questions or if there's any specific thing that you would like us to talk about, drop that in the comments too. Happy Friday!
Happy Friday, everyone.